Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me for some more Gravely fun. Today I'm going to be giving you a step-by-step guide how to take an air-cooled diesel and use it to repower a Gravely. The particular Gravely I'm using is a C10A, and the particular diesel I'm using is a Yanmar clone of an L100, specifically a 186F diesel. But this really should work with any of these larger air-cooled Yanmar or Yanmar clones and any Gravely. Now past me is going to take it away and show you exactly how to get this done.
So here we go. Here's the breakdown of all the parts we're planning to use, and if it looks like a hodgepodge, that's because it is. But I'll explain to you a little bit of my rationale behind all these things, aside from it was lying around. So we're going to start with a C10A transaxle. I have this C10A transaxle, and that's kind of what kicked this off. I bought it for a C10 that I picked up when I decided to use its high-low planetary for a snowblower. Well, I felt kind of bad about that, and that project left me with a C10A transaxle and C10 planetaries. And I decided to put those two together in combination with this diesel because the C10 planetary is made for a much lower RPM than the C10A. So I think that'll work really well with the low RPM that this diesel is capable of. But you can also wind this diesel out to like 3,600 RPM if you really feel like it. So I think that'll be a good fit. We can run it nominally at the 2,600 RPM that this C10 planetary likes to be ran at. But we could also run it higher if I gotta get somewhere in a hurry for whatever reason. So next, we got this commercial 8 adapter plate. He's a poet and he don't know it. And that's gonna bolt up to that diesel quite nicely. You can actually use the C10 or C10A adapter and it'll bolt right up, but you gotta start making plates. And I don't wanna make any plates. I did it with that other one. This time I wanna have a very foolproof and measured approach to my diesel swap. So we're just gonna not do that. I'll show you how it fits next time. So commercial 8 or professional 8 adapter plate. It's fun rhyming those. And the next we got a 186F Yanmar diesel clone. That is the engine. That's gonna make the magic happen. Last time around, we didn't do any machining on that crankshaft, and I think overall it's just going to be easier to machine it. So that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna end up with a more compact product in the end, and I think that's gonna be quite nice, and it'll be much better fitted to the snow and just the small jobs that my little property has to offer. So let's get on it. If I take this plate naked as it is and I stick it there, oh yeah, that's not gonna seal. You can see that. No bueno. Does fit in there quite nicely. So remember the gaps. Here is our commercial 8 plate. There we go. It lines up super nicely in there, right up against all these. Now it is time to do some measuring. Here we got our Yanmar diesel over here, and here we have the original engine, a Kohler K241. So as you can tell, these are quite different, and we're gonna have to measure all these differences out. We wanna get the total shaft protrusion as well as how much to cut it back. Hello everybody, it is sometime later and we got all of our measurements. Let me just lay it out for you. So what we really want to have is our net protrusion and to know how much we're cutting back from there. So that's what we're going to do at the end of the day. It took quite a lot of measuring to get here. Remember, this is very critical. We're taking stuff apart. We won't be able to mock this up again. So measure twice, cut once. You know how it goes. So at this point, it's now time to take apart the motor. There's no putting it off anymore. We got to get to that crankshaft. And I already did that for the previous build, and I'll put a link up so you can take a look at that. But I'm just going to do that off camera because I'm going to be in the zone. Catch you later. Now we're doing the tough stuff with the man of the hour himself, Diesel Dave. We've got our crankshaft on the lathe, and we got to turn it down so we could fit this bad boy in it. This is the input sun gear for the C10, and we got to let it rip. This is the hard part of everything. We did all the measuring last time around, so now we just got to let her rip. Cutting it down to, this is the diameter, and you're cutting it in 1.7 and change.
4.8.
That sounds like an interference fit for 0.75.
Did you get me the keyway?
Yeah, I would imagine. Safety glasses check.
What are those? OSHA? Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Diesel Dave. Just a mess. Out of cal calipers, no safety glasses.
You can see the spindle's got some run out.
Run out on Gramps' lathe.
That came out of the high school?
Get a load of that. She warble. Mint.
It's not terrible.
I'm sure there's some like crankshaft spec for run out and it's something like 2000. I thought that was gonna be like past 10 though. Just how it was warbling. Oh, beautiful. That was a calibrated wood tap.
One master machinist.
Oh yeah, with the 150 grit sandpaper.
So Diesel Dave came up with a pretty good idea, and he just cut like a little teeny cut for like the very last pass, just to be sure that we'd maintain our press fit. That way you don't hog it all out, and turns out that you know, can't put any of that back. So now it goes, you know, you can see where he cut a wee bit too much maybe for the gear. That'll be fine for the planetary, but we still got probably like a perfect fit there, which is just cherry. Since this is supposed to be instructive, why don't you take a caliper measurement of the width right there, since it's not exactly 3/4 like I thought and like the shaft is. So 0.76 basically.
Yeah, 759. I mean, you can squeeze up on it a little bit.
So be careful if you're planning to just rip it all the way down to 0.75. Take special care to not be doing it like I always end up doing. Perfect, just the way I asked for it. Like I said, it doesn't go quite on, but then we have a little bit larger diameter in there, which is perfect. It's gonna make it super nice. We don't have a keyway, and I'm feeling cheap, so I'm just gonna Dremel in a keyway. All right, you can probably pull it out now. Aw, yeah. All right, so there it goes. We got our gear hammered all the way into our shaft. Things weren't too pretty with that Dremel. It pokes out a little bit, but I don't think that's going to be too bad. And in the end, we got it on. Fortunately, I got to take it right back off again to assemble it, but I wanted to be sure that we had it all together. As you can see, we got this thing mocked up a little bit last time we machined the crankshaft. And I highly recommend, before you go any further, you go ahead and you mock up a mostly empty block like this, just to be sure that all of your geometry is right. Because if you got to take it off and do a little bit of rework, you're really not going to want that engine at its full weight. It is a hefty boy. I learned that from the last Repower, so I just got the skeleton on there, and I saw that everything aligns. As you can see, we spin the crankshaft, and we get spinning all the way down, which is awesome. That's just what I hope for. So let's take this thing off and put it back together all over again, because, well, there's no avoiding it. So we'll go ahead, we'll put it back together. We know it matches. I've already done this, actually, for the previous Repower. Again, I had to rebuild one of these after stripping it down to the crankshaft. So if you want to take a look at the process to do that in greater detail, you can take a look at the link, and that'll tell you everything you need to know. Meanwhile, I'm going to get cracking. Okay, we got the engine back together, and we got that sun gear once again back on. Hopefully for the last time. Now we got to take it and put it over here on the tractor for all the future stuff. So I'm happy with the way this fits. I'm happy with the way it fits in there. But we still got to build the tractor around it and see if we run into any issues. All right, so as you can see, we got the tractor body built up around this bad boy, and it's starting to look like a Gravely again. When we flip up the hood, you can see a bit where our exhaust issues are beginning to form. Right here we got the exhaust. There's really not a lot of space to work with in terms of like putting a muffler. I see a lot of people use the stock muffler, but I don't really want the exhaust to go sticking out the side. That's actually how the old C10 is, and I've noticed some issues with that. When the exhaust comes out the side and I'm blowing upwind, I stick my head down, and it protects me from most of the snow, but then the exhaust goes and starts shooting some of it right back into my face. Going back and looking at the video, I realized you can really see that. What I was thinking might be fun to do is take this and go right out the top. Closing this up again. If you take a little look-see down here, we're ending basically right at the middle of, believe it or not, that's a catalytic converter. So I was thinking take a 90, stick it out the top, and give ourselves a tractor flapper. I think that'd be pretty fun. I think it would actually be useful in my area to keep the snow from getting blasted all over the place. And I think it'll be really fitting for a diesel. Another thing I want to point out, this is in no way unique to mine, is that we do not have enough space right here for our air filter. So we're gonna have to cook up some fun way to take care of this. I see a lot of people stick it right out the back there, but I don't want to. And the reason I don't want to be messing with this back here is because I really like this bar being here. It's mint. It really goes to sort of like solidify the look of the tractor. It makes you think that, oh yeah, this is all Gravely. You see the Gravely bits on the back, the Gravely bits in the front, and you can almost miss the Yanmar shoveled in between. What I got right here is a tank I got lying around. This is obviously from a 2-stroke blower that somebody left on the curb, but we can use it here. Stick it maybe right around here. Maybe in future we could beef up that fuel system, get something with a little bit more capacity, because I've kind of got some fun plans for this thing that involve driving it all over. So maybe a little bit more capacity, maybe a turbo. In the meantime, I haven't actually seen this this engine run since I bought it, and I want to be sure that it'll work on the Gravely without turning all of its guts into powder. So before I start having a bit of fun with turbos, I gotta first make sure that it'll work and it'll be reliable as naturally aspirated. Anyway, let's get working on this exhaust. Hey, what's that I see? That's right, that's the start of the exhaust. We used as much of the old Aurora generator exhaust as we could and poked it out as far as we could without interfering with the hood. So there we go, that's what it looks like. It goes whoop, right out the top. This is just super basic. This has a 1.5 inch outer diameter. So I'm gonna go and look for a nice muffler that I can have. So that'll just slip on the top. It'll close like this. Look at that, look at this. Ooh, tall boy. Yeah, we got ourselves a tractor flapper. It looks a little bit goofy and doesn't have the best mount. That's because when you order it, stuff isn't always the size it says it is. But this was pretty cheap. This is actually a pretty big exhaust for the tractor that we got. I think once I paint it black and paint the hood white, it'll get to looking a lot nicer. But for now, I actually kind of like it. I think it's fun. Fuel system might be relatively easy. I wanted to put it in the front. Hey, it's something. So it might not be the most beautiful or elegant solution, but like I said, I would like to have a larger fuel tank in there. Something that takes up the space for my exhaust quite nicely. So for now, we'll use this just to get us going. Like I said before, we got this gas tank and we adapted it to work with our diesel. Just stuck a 1/4 inch barb fitting in there, and now we got a place for our return to go. And we're mostly done here. Yes, I've got heartaches by the number and troubles by the score. And every day you love me less, and every day I love you more. Now let's fill up the oil on our Yanmar clone. Sorry, I haven't really talked too much about the Gravely as I put the Gravely together, because, well, I assume if you're gonna take on something as in-depth as a Repower, you know your way around a Gravely. Also, these are very simple machines. If you got an inkering for the tinkering, you'll be right at home around these things. For this Yanmar, it takes 1.6 liters of, I don't know, they got the usual like oil chart. For what to put in it, I'm sticking in 10W30 because that's the cold weather stuff, and it is still quite cold out. There we go. Oh, there we go. As it happens, the next thing we gotta mess with is on this side too, and that is this throttle plate. This is our governor assembly. This is for a generator, and what you're supposed to do is click this over, click, like that, and it'll run in its nominal 3,600 RPM. And you don't really have any throttle control. You click this, and it goes back, and it shuts off your motor. For this generator, it'd be on all the time, and then we have an electric solenoid right here. If you're not feeling the electrical stop, you can take this solenoid off, and out of it will drop a plunger and a spring. You can just take that, not include it, reassemble it, and then you'll just have your mechanical stop. I'm not a big fan of this throttle plate. You can make it work, but I'd rather it just work like normal. So that's what we have here. We've got this variable throttle plate. You just hook your cable up to here, and it works just like that. Let's take off the old plate. We've moved from Gravely stuff over to Yanmar stuff, so things are going to be metric. This is a 10. You don't need to take this one out. It's a part of the throttle plate. Now, let's take a note where this spring is on this plate. This spring on the engine side lever was at its 3rd setting, and here it was at its 3rd setting farthest up. And then there's this return spring here. Let's take them both off. Off you come, off you come. So now you can see what that whole mechanism was about. Just moving this to and fro. So we were at 3 and 3 here. Let's put that there. And then we'll connect. We will connect the little return spring. Under the throttle plate, this is what's happening. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. Hey, what did I say? That might look pretty good if it actually had some paint. Well, we actually had a spell of warm weather. It was in the 50s. Woo, 50s. Which was enough for some spray paint, and that's looking good. So, I was thinking I might have to paint the whole thing all yellow, but really that hood goes a long way. Anyway, the absolute last thing we have on the docket before the valve keepers come in and we can run the stupid thing is the electrical system. So let's get cracking on that. Well, here we go. Here is our electrical system. It looks awful just because it's not all wrapped up, but it is deceptively simple. We've got a key over here. This key has got 3 pins, and we just got to go ahead and make sure we got power at all the right steps. So the tractor's off. Let's check. First, let's check if our probe light works. Boom, there we go. We got a light, and then we have a big, large positive that goes over to this. Deet. Our starter, check. And then in here, it should go to our key with this gray wire. Check-a-rooney. Okay. Now let's click it into the ignition position. Click ignition. We need to have power to our inverter to get our alternator to work. Click. We got power there. Now, because this is a diesel, we don't just need power over to the alternator and stuff like that. We also have to have power to this, which is a fuel shutoff solenoid. Right now our key is in the off position. Click it over onto on. And there we go. Look at that. Now our engine is all apart, unfortunately, and I don't want to be pumping oil anywhere. So I'm just going to give it a little touch on the starter to see if it makes any noise, and I will call the test done. There's our ignition on. And there's our starter. Beautiful. The Chinese valve keepers have finally made their way over here. Got brick here, and it's time to start this. Feed me, boy. Oh, it wants the ether. No, baby, no.
Spoiled it.
Okay, can you hold it up?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna see if it's still holding open once we crank it. Okay, there, it's coming out, coming out. Okay, it's squirting. It's squirting.
Little.
Okay, I smell diesel burning up in there.
I do.
We're gonna get victory cheesecake. Yeah. Welcome. We are back. Unfortunately, we didn't get it going that night. As cool as it would have been to get it going with brick, have some victory cheesecake, but it just wasn't in the cards. So I tried a few more things today, and I think I figured out what's going on. So I tried lifting this because I was concerned we weren't getting enough head pressure down into the injection pump. I know this is right by the exhaust, but I'm just gonna fire it up really quick. And the next thing I noticed was it stopped firing on ether. So that was a big concern. And I think what was doing it was this. This is a compression release. It's pinned in there. The cam is pinned in there. So what happens is there's a little cam and it pushes down on the exhaust valve and makes sure you don't get any compression. And I think it was doing it just ever so little. Because if this pin is out, this spring is free to go all the way over here. And once it does that, even though compression release is supposed to be this way, it swings over to the other side of the cam and starts poking it down a little bit. So I think that's what was doing it. I gave this thing just a little touch and it sounded really promising. So there's a good chance that was the issue, but I wanted to get the moment on camera. So here we go. Oh, you little tease. You little tease. You know just what I want. You know that I need it. We have our diesel repower done, and it's time to test it. Unfortunately, we haven't had any snow lately. It's been too warm for snow and too cold to dig. Besides, 811 hasn't even showed up. So we got our diesel repower done, and we got it tuned. You can check out right here if you want to see the tuning process. And I noticed there's all kinds of like litter over here in this back area. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the little yard cart and my diesel repower, and I'm gonna tootle it around the backyard and pick up some of this trash. And that should be a pretty good test ride. All right, there we go. Let's get it revved up a little bit. Hi. Now, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of pictures of the Selkies where people sit in them like on a little bench, but I think I need to increase my tongue length because right now I'm just sitting in here. But as you may be able to
to see potted plants with litter. Or pots, you know. I think the nature lovers and the plant lovers wouldn't litter. You know, if you're just joining me from the tuning video, I might have advanced it a little too far. Runs great, but having trouble starting. I'll probably just back that off. In future, like I said, I got too excited. I just wanted to go. See a tire over there. See if we can't get it. Funny, the neighbor was just over here. This is technically not mine. I just got too excited. The neighbor was over here. He thought I was dumping. No. You know, you think you're doing a good deed. Always more work. Maybe I'll leave the tire here. Come back for just tires. Just like a bundle of worms or a ball. Ooh. It's like one of those Super Ball things. Gross. Stop here. It's funny. It's like reverse Santa. Instead of presents, I bring trash to all the bad litter bugs. Well, I think that's about all I can reasonably take. I mean, if I followed every visible beer can and picked it up in like a big old trail, I wouldn't be done until the entire city was cleaned. Okay, I think reverse Santa's had his fill. Oh, garbage water. Oh, it's beautiful. It's Mountain Dew colored. Let's see if she fires up. I've been pissing around for a while. Uh-oh, we're gonna die far from home. Not counting on there being this many tires. We'll take these two. Well, it looks like it's all we can take anyway.
So there we go. There is our diesel-powered C10A in action after a mostly successful showcase. Still did have some problems. I think it's just the timing's too far advanced. Runs good when it's warm, but once it gets cold, ugh, not happy. Well, the long and short of it is, you should now have all the information you need to build your own diesel-powered Gravely, be it a C10, C10A, and whatnot. And I hope this video was informative, or at least entertaining. Stay tuned, because I got some more planned for this bad boy. We're gonna have some turbo diesel fun in the future. But for now, I'm happy with the way it is. Gonna make some small improvements, and I'll see you later. Take it easy, and have a good one. Shoots.